Welcome back to another edition of the Net Report podcast. I'm your host, Mike Broadbent. Joining me once again is my co-host, Richie O'Leary. And we have two big commitments that have happened in the last few days. First, the basketball team's roster is fully rounded out with its latest commitment. Their 13th scholarship has been filled. We'll get into who filled that and what they bring as a player. And then Rutgers Football has added another offensive lineman to the class of 2026. We'll get into who he is, what he brings to the fold, and what that means for the rest of the recruit class. But first, this podcast is presented to you by MyBookie. It's crunch time on the court, and the NBA playoffs are your chance to score big. Whether you're riding with the favorites or cheering for the underdog, every three-pointer, dunk, and buzzer beater is an opportunity to win at MyBookie. You can place your bets live as the action unfolds, and if you're feeling confident, you can lock in your winnings early with a quick cash-out option. Never miss a chance to turn your basketball insights into real cash. And if you're new to MyBookie, you can get a sign-up bonus with the promo code MM50. You get a 50% sign-up bonus, so if you deposit $50, you can get a free $25. So great opportunity to get some free money here. More action, more excitement, and more chances to win during basketball's most intense playoff season. When the games wrap up, you can keep the winning streak alive at MyBookie's casino with slots, blackjack, roulette, and more. The thrills never stop. Bet anything, anywhere, anytime with MyBookie. It's a great chance for Knicks fans to get in on some free money too if you're trying to see if they can wrap up the series.
Buddy. They're going Game 7, and I can't wait. I need to see these guys sweat a little bit. I need Craig specifically to sweat a little bit.
Yeah, Craig's feeling himself a little bit. Although Craig suffers from
hater syndrome,
bad team fan syndrome, where he's still bitching and moaning about the Sixers getting the third pick. It's like, bro, you are in the conference semifinals, about to take down the defending champions. Worry about that. Don't worry about the pick.
They were up 3-1, and we're getting texts about the Sixers and the Nets, and I'm like, dude, what are we doing?
Yeah, it's hilarious, but we love you.
It is. Yeah.
Let's talk about this basketball commitment. So Rutgers has landed Romanian forward Denis Badalau. I don't know how to pronounce his name. It's Badalau. He played in Italy's highest league, which I think you saw was the sixth best league in the world by FIBA's calculation. So tell us a little bit about what Rutgers is getting in their newest commitment in Denis Badalau.
Yeah, so here's the problem, actually. FIBA doesn't rank the leagues, so this is just an ESPN guy that just decided to rank the leagues. I don't know how you rank them because I feel like all European basketball leagues are very similar to one another. I guess you could tell a little bit difference, but it is sixth best. He just joined the A League, Italian Serie A. This past season, he's only played in 10 games, so it's really hard to judge how he's going to perform at this level of college basketball because that league does feature several NBA players, former NBA players, probably future NBA players too. But he's only played 10 games. He's only averaged 9 minutes per game. So it's really hard to see anything on that tape. So you go back to his old tape, and he was playing in a different level. He played in that Adidas Next Gen tournament with Kasparis Jakunas, or something, however you say it. The future lottery pick from Illinois that just performed, and he did pretty well in that. He also did well at the Basketball Without Borders event a year ago, and he played for the Romanian national team where he had some solid minutes as well. But when he got to the Serie A is when his numbers really dropped. Like in 23-24, he played at the ANG tournament, which I think is an Adidas Next Gen, averaged 30 minutes per game, 19 points, 8 rebounds. It's like, okay, shit. Like you watch that tape and you're like, okay, he's dominating against these people. Then he gets to Serie A and it's like significant drop down in minutes and play in general. It's hard to judge him. He's young. His shot's weird. Like I feel like he pulls it down on his shot, and his release is like not all the way at the top. It's like at the middle. So it's almost like a dart at the backboard, not at the backboard, at the rim. I really don't know how he's going to translate, but I think in terms of what he has, like he has a 37-inch vertical. He likes to attack the rim. He seems like he's a good rebounder. His defense has a lot to be desired. He probably has to get a lot better on that front. But I think for a 13th guy, I think there's tools there that you can work with. Now, is he going to be here for 4 years? I don't know, because this is just a new roster every single year. But I do think he has some tools to work with. I think he'll probably be in a deep reserve bench role. because obviously the starting wing is going to be Darren Buchanan at the 3, and the starting 4 is going to be Dylan Grant. After that is the big question marks. Does Bryce Dortch play some more 4 this year? I think Chris Nawoli is probably better than this kid. But it's also an adjustment too from Europe. It's not like it's as easy as just going like, okay, I'm going to pluck this kid from Europe. I'm going to put him in immediately right here, and he's going to work without a doubt. So yeah, we'll kind of just wait and see. I think the speed of the game's a lot different. I think it's more physical in college basketball versus some of these European leagues. You don't really see much physicality down low, whereas he's able to really abuse guys when he drives to the paint and just is able to finish pretty well. But yeah, his shooting's okay. But I think a good rebounder, guy that can attack the rim. His free throw numbers are decent, if not above average, considering what Rutgers has been from the free throw line over the past couple of years. But yeah, I mean, I think for a 13th guy, I think it's a decent get.
Yeah, he's somebody who is a little bit younger, so I think he's 19, right?
Yeah, he just turned 19.
Just turned 19. The other European commitment in
Harun Zerno.
Yeah, sorry, Harun Zerno. He's a little older. He's 20. Had more interest, it seems.
He's 21
than Badalau. Who else was on Badalau? Was he a guy that they just kind of like pulled out of a professional league and wasn't trying to go the college route? Who was the competition here?
I mean, it was Virginia. Virginia really wanted him as a backup type guy, a guy that could get like 8 to 10 minutes per game, and that's fine. And they were offering upwards of $200,000. It sounds like Rutgers offered more than that. So do the math there. You're paying a lot of money for a kid that's probably going to be a deep bench guy. But you could see the upside. You can kind of see the tools. He played along Miles Cale, who we know played at Seton Hall for a couple of years, was pretty solid there. There's someone else on this roster. I'm looking up and down. I think Anthony Lamb played in college as well. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4 kid from no, that is Miles Cale. There's a bunch of dudes that actually played in college basketball, and some that even had a shot at the NBA, with whether it be G League, Summer League, whatever. So there is some talent in that league for sure. It's hard to judge when he only plays 9 minutes in the Series A versus when he was playing against under 19s, under 20s. He was playing pretty well, but the tools are there. I think he hits a good open shot. I had people tell me his length. I actually heard that I got a 6'5" wingspan for a 6'8" guy, which it's like alligator T-Rex arms, which isn't good for defense, especially when his defense is already kind of lackluster, but a good rebounder. So yeah, it's kind of just a wait and see type thing with these guys. And I thought Brightman put it best on his pod. Like, anyone that says they know what this guy's going to be at the college level, or even Harun Zerno, they just don't. That's impossible. Like, these guys, some translate really well. Like a Kasparis, I think he had 15 points per game, versus others that come in and they're like, yeah, that guy's going to need like 4 years to adjust.
Yeah, that Igor guy from BYU.
Igor Denham, whatever it was. So it's really tough to judge him. Maybe he ends up being – I don't think he's a starter. I'd be shocked if he was. But maybe at best he's like 7th, 8th man next year. At worst, he's probably your 13th man.
Yeah, no, and I mean, they certainly have the time to allow him to develop a bit. I don't really have like a great take on him other than he's a good spot up shooter. A lot of his shots on his highlight tape were just kind of wide open. Yeah. He was playing in a league where, he was 18 years old playing against 30 plus year old men. Mm-hmm. So I think it's really tough to kind of gauge how far along he is because of that. I mean, I think the better gauge is honestly like the World Cup competition level stuff, which he actually had a few games where he really shined in. So another thing, it's funny how we talked about Ace and Dylan's measurables and how, Alec was explaining how, you want to have a pretty high plus number when you're talking height to wingspan. Mm-hmm. So you have like guys like Ace and Dylan who are like +6, +7, and Badalau is -2, which is obviously not good.
-3, depending on what height you're looking at. I see them 6'8" per this Eurobasket site, 6'7" per another site. It's just so hard to judge these guys. Like, you really, and especially when it's limited minutes, it makes it even harder to judge these guys. If he's putting up 20 points per game in Italian Serie A, it's like, okay, holy shit. Like, probably have a lot more offers, but he's putting up 9 minutes per game. So it's like, you don't really know, but we'll wait and see, I guess.
Yeah. It's kind of a mystery box. A lot of these Europeans are kind of a mystery box. You
Oh
see
yeah.
the tools. I mean, everything about European players is just different from American players. Like
Hmm.
the way I've seen it explained is uh, American athletes, like especially with like AAU ball, you spend
Hmm.
like 90% of the time playing games and 10% of the time practicing. And Europeans are the opposite. So they spend about 90% of the time practicing, 10% of the time playing games. Because AAU tournaments, I mean, you've been to them.
Yeah,
They might play like 4 games a day, some of these
easily.
teams.
Hmm.
And for a tournament, they might play like 12 games in the span of 7 days, something crazy like that. And these
Hmm.
AAU teams aren't like practicing with each other. They're showing up
Oh
and
God,
maybe
it's
yeah, they're
cringy.
showing up and they're like all-star teams. So I think it's basically like a different type of development. So how that translates to the college game
Hmm.
is kind of an unknown until they get on campus. You just got to hope the tools will translate, and he certainly has some of the tools that you want to see in an impact scorer at the Big Ten level.
Yeah.
Any final notes on Badalau before we move on to some football talk?
Um, no, I mean, June 13th is going to be their first practice. We'll see what when our first availability will be. I think a lot of people said this already, but we're going into this one with a definitely different shade of glasses on. Just because last year you saw those two superstars and you thought, all right, maybe they're going to be really really good, and it just didn't work out that way. On paper this roster is a little scary because you don't know. I don't know who's going to be the scorer, and it's really hard to tell who's going to be the scorer. I know talking to people within the program, they think Ronzino is going to be like one of their leading scorers. I've heard people in the program tell me Lino Mark's going to be their starting point guard. And we just did this with two freshmen last year. And mind you, no offense to Lino Mark, but he's not the number 2 and number 3 pick in the draft. So I don't know what to expect. A lot of question marks at center still, a lot of question marks on scoring, but I do think that they got better defensively. I think that's fair to say between Buchanan and J. Mike and Zerno,
I think unquestionably
maybe.
they'll have a better defensive team next year. It's all going to kind of hinge on how much they could develop Bayfall,
That's
because
the
he's
big
another
thing.
big mystery box. If he can turn into that, defensive anchor in the paint that
Mm-hmm.
we've largely needed for a Steve Peichel defense to work, I think this is going to be a much better defense. But if he's a guy that has played hardly any minutes for 2 other Power Four
Yeah.
teams for a reason, then we might be looking at a long season because.
I think that one's the toughest to judge just because, like,
Mhm.
you haven't seen any tape for 2 years now, 3 years now,
Yeah.
since his high school senior year. And it's like, okay, now I really don't know who you are anymore.
It'd be one thing if he was dealing with like, chronic injuries, but that
Mm-hmm.
wasn't even the case. It was
Yeah.
just things weren't clicking for him. So
Yep.
hopefully the third stop on the journey is the place that clicks. So
Third time's a charm.
third time's a charm. Um, all right, let's talk about this new football commit that Rutgers has landed. Rutgers went into South Jersey and landed a
Yes.
tackle out of St. Augustine Prep in Richland, New Jersey, Cameron
Mm-hmm.
Greene. Now, I feel like this name is one that I've heard before, but he's listed at 6'7", 315, and I know that he's lost quite a bit of weight getting
Yes.
down to that 315. So talk a little bit about Cameron Greene's journey to becoming a Rutgers commitment.
Yeah, so he was actually on campus for I think it was the first spring practice visit, which I believe was technically late May, like right before April 1st. I got to double check on when that was. But yeah, no, I mean they've known about him for a while. They've kept tabs on him. Last year he was around like 6'6", 6'7", 3. I think he said 358 to me the other day. He got down to 315, 313 now, I think he is. He said. He also gained some speed, of course, because, I mean, you lose 50 pounds, I think you're like automatically faster without even doing anything. But on top of that, he gained some. He also said he feels like he's better shape. He feels like he's stronger. It's a guy that they monitored for a long time, like I said. And then Pat Flaherty worked him out on, what's today, Friday? I worked him out on Monday. And all of a sudden he got an offer, and within 2 days of getting an offer, that was it. Sealed the deal, done. Like he knew Rutgers was the spot he wanted to be at. A lot of his recent offers came from, or a lot of the Power Four offers came recently, which again speaks to people coming in, going to like either a showcase of his or just working him out. Because it's weird. Like you go to the high schools and you're allowed to just do workouts with coaches now. So a lot of those coaches like walked in, saw him, worked him out, and they're like, "Oh shit, okay, you look a lot better. Like you are not the same player that you were last year." So let's do this. Let's get the offer. Let's get you on campus. I know West Virginia was pushing pretty hard to get him down there. I think Duke was pretty involved too. Just a smart kid. There was just some question marks about last year if he was going to be able to lose that weight and what's he going to look like when he loses that weight. Some guys, when you get a 6'8", 340-pound walk-on in Holland, or not even 340, it's like 380, right? And when Holland Pierce, it's like, okay, it's a walk-on. Like, worst comes to worst.
I think it was even more than that. I think he came in at like 450. It was insane. Jesus, yeah.
Which is insane, like you said, but it's like it's a walk-on. So, okay, I'll take that flyer. I got a high school now. I got to be a little bit more picky and choosy. And they worked him out, and that was it. Pat Flaherty's like, that's the guy I want. Let's get him. He's ready to commit now. And lo and behold, he commits 3 days later.
And he becomes the
second
the second offensive lineman.
Yes.
And the 9th commitment overall in the class. 5.6 3-star athlete. St. Augustine, or 5.5, I'm sorry. St. Augustine has slowly kind of built a pretty respectable program down in South Jersey. They've had quite a few top players over the last few years. I know that, the coach down at Vineland High School has left the program, who, was able to be the primary reason guys like Pop and Tyrone Powell stayed there. Is St. Augustine kind of like becoming a sponge for talent in that Salem County area?
Yes and no. It's tough because like Winslow Township is like the go-to now in South Jersey. Now, are they private? No. Do they have kids that probably aren't from Winslow? Yeah, but so does every other public school in the country, in the state specifically. But yeah, no, I mean, St. Augustine's they've always produced a little bit over the past couple of years. Like Isaiah Rakes, if you remember, was a Rutgers guy. I think he went down to A&M.
Is he still at A&M?
I think he entered the portal this offseason.
Okay.
Might be at Syracuse and followed, what's his name? Elijah Robinson. Dennis Jaquez was a guy a couple of years ago Rutgers was after. I think ended up at Syracuse. Kanye Udo, the running back, ended up at Army and ended up entering the portal. I think he was that good. I forget where he ended up too. But
I think he ended up. Is that Alston you're talking about?
No. Kanye Udo. He's at I just looked now. He's at Arizona State now. So I mean, hey, pretty little come up for him. Damari Simeon, who I just mentioned, is like a top 150 kid, probably gonna end up at Ohio State. It sounds like. His other side of the offensive line, Roseby Labuntis, it just ended up at Penn State, and then you have Cameron Greene. So I mean, the guys up front, like, it's a hell of a 2026 class.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they're definitely up there in terms of producing. But there's a lot of different schools down in that region now between St. Augustine, Timber Creek, Winslow. So South Jersey just produces at the end of the day. And I feel like they don't get enough love in terms of the rankings. And I've been pretty adamant about that. Like Tyrone Powell, Max Melton, like you saw them right away. Stud. And for some reason, we just didn't rank them as much.
Yeah, I think it's the culture in North Jersey is different. Like they have these established powerhouses who, I mean, you look at what they kind of do, and this isn't a knock on them, but a lot of those kids, the top kids from like Bergen Catholic, from Don Bosco, from St. Joe's, like, they're being held back in like 8th grade. They're, getting trained year round, and they're kind of like maxing out their physical potential while they're in high school. And so they don't really have as much upside as a kid who maybe, was playing 4 sports, who never got, year round training, never worked with a trainer. So I think that's what you're seeing in a lot of these South Jersey guys is more of raw athletes coming into college who get developed in college rather than in high school.
Yeah, 100%.
Is there anything else about Cameron Greene that we haven't covered that you wanted to touch on about this commitment?
Not really so much his commitment, but it talks towards offensive line recruiting, because now it gets interesting because there's a bunch of guys that are listed as tackles, but they're really not tackles. Like Kai Pritchard, I think, is more of an interior guy. I think we have him at 6'5", 6'6". I think he's more like 6'4"-ish, which tells me
you guys have him as 6'4", 275.
Okay, so we do have it correct then. Yeah, I think he's going to be more of an interior guy at the next level, is just pack on the weight and be a mauler in the trenches. Could he play tackle? Sure. Like maybe be a swing guy like a Tyler Needham or a Taj White specifically, who played left guard and then right tackle last year, and now is playing right tackle. So, who else? Jared Smith, the Georgia guy, just released the top 4: Georgia Tech, Auburn, Georgia, and Rutgers. It's Rutgers and Georgia right now. Sounds like Rutgers tried to put a little bit of a squeeze on him recently, but it didn't work out too well, and it kind of worked in the opposite direction, it sounds like.
Bummer.
So we'll see. But he does like Rutgers a lot. Demir Shaw's like the lead point guy there. I think it's going to come down to Rutgers and Georgia, and those are the 2 schools he has official visits to coming up. So if Georgia wants him, if Georgia wants anyone out of Georgia, they're going to get him. Like if they don't, I think he's a little bit lower on the board. We'll wait and see. But Georgia did also just lose out on the kid Cantwell, who just got $2 million from Miami for year 1, mind you, not for his career. That's for year 1. But he denied that pretty quickly. But let's be honest. If that report's out there, it's probably true.
Yep.
Who else? Kai Pritchard. Oh, Tyrell Simpson's coming to campus too. He'll be a tackle. So that's probably going to be your 2 tackles if I had to guess. They're still going to go after Marlon Bright, but he's a Penn State lean, in-state kid, DePaul Catholic. But no, I mean, end of the day, Cameron Greene seems like a good get. I think a lot of people are questioning it. I think it's very hard to judge offensive line play in high school because you don't know how these guys are going to develop when they either add 10 pounds or shift their weight completely. Like he's 315 now. They might want to get him down to 290 and then build him back up with muscle. Like it's probably still body fat or kid fat or baby fat. That's the word, baby fat. So, I mean, yeah, there's you don't really know how these guys are going to be molded, how they're going to do, but you watch his tape. He's really athletic. He bends really well too for 6'7", 300. And mind you, this tape's from fall. So he's probably like around 330-ish, 320-ish, where he's down even lower now. I think he bends well. He's athletic. He plays to the whistle. He seems like a mean SOB in the trenches, and that's number 1 factor for me when it comes to offensive line tape. Like I need someone that's not only just going to push the guy on the ground. I need him to like pancake him. I need him to literally shove that guy 10 yards down the field. I just want to see someone that's just kind of an asshole on the field. Like I want you to hate that other guy on the other side of you. Like it's just only position where you're hitting helmet to helmet basically every single play. Be a mean son of a bitch and push that guy as far down the field or as far down into the ground as you can.
Yeah, that's kind of like you can't really teach a dog to bite type thing. Like you either have that kind of mentality in you to be physical and to kind of just want to dominate whoever's lining up next to or in front of you, or you don't. You could be the biggest, strongest, fastest guy out there, but if you don't like have that mean streak, you're not going to do well along the offensive and defensive line. So glad to hear that, because I feel like that's more important than anything. That's like, are you this type of personality or not? And if you're not, like, I don't think it's worth recruiting a player in college football, but
especially in the Big Ten, it's just trench warfare every single game, and
exactly.
It's like playing in every condition too. Like it has to be trench warfare. Like you're winning the battle or losing the battle up front. That's it.
Yep.
So
a couple commitments here. Is there anything else that we wanted to hit on Rutgers wise before we head out of here? Oh, I do have one thing.
Oh, go for it.
I want to send a big shout out to Riley Tiernan of Angel City in the NWSL. She's in her rookie season, and as of last check, she was second in the league in scoring through 8 games. She had 5 goals through 8 games. There was only one player with more than her. Just came out of the gates, scorching hot to her professional career, and really excited to see how her career continues to progress. But just wanted to shout her out because she's having a ton of success in the highest league in the world, arguably, for women's football. So,
good question. I would think so, right? Because they have all the stars, like, for the most part.
Yeah, it's either that or like the Women's Premier League, but still, it's pretty high up. So
yeah. Also, Big Ten rowing championships are this weekend. Washington is technically favored. Rutgers is projected, and I'm just going based on because I don't know shit about rowing. But Big Matt 718, shout out to you for posting that Rutgers will be the favorite, or Washington will be the favorites, but Rutgers should beat everyone else. So I'm going to trust him there and just believe that he's right. But Rutgers is number 2 in their region for Region 4, which consists of Washington, Rutgers, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio State, and Michigan State. So we'll see what they can do, but maybe a big championship on the horizon. You never know.
It would be a nice addition to the trophy case for Rutgers athletics for sure.
Yes. President is going to be announced relatively
you read my
soon,
mind.
It sounds like. Yeah,
you read my mind. I was going to ask you about that. So what's the latest on the presidential search and the athletic director search?
AD search is going to take a little bit more time. Obviously, they just kind of got off the ground and running. Now, mind you, you don't hire, I feel like, these firms unless you already have a list, because those firms are just going to basically vet the list and do the background and see what, and dig up any skeletons they might have. But then again, I feel like the firms in the past really haven't dug up any of those skeletons. They've just kind of like, oh, you know what, put them back in the closet. And then a couple years later, it's like, oh, shit, there is a skeleton. Oh, wait, what, there's another? Oh, shit, there's another?
Yep.
So hopefully this turnkey ZRG firm, supposedly pretty good. They just basically did TCU, I think it was Pittsburgh, someone else, the Big 12 commissioner, who ended up being Brett Yormark, who's been pretty damn good and helped somehow keep that conference afloat. How that worked, I have no idea. But yeah, so we'll wait and see what happens with that. But president sounds like it's down to two names. One of them is apparently a sitting, I'm going to say this, Power 2 president. Now, mind you,
Wow.
I'm not just going to up and leave. There's
so Power 2 is Big Ten or SEC, sitting president. Wow.
I mean, you really want to go through what is it? Are we up to 36 teams between the two conferences? Jesus. So, yeah, I mean, if you want to go through 36 schools and go figure it out, I feel like you kind of can, wink, wink, hint, hint. He's apparently, I just said he. Well, that gave away probably like down to 30 at this point. Yeah, so you could kind of go look at that. Supposedly, he is the name that we are hearing. Is it true? Is it not? We'll wait and see what happens. But if it does happen, I would probably have I don't think we would actually do an immediate reaction to a president hire, but I feel like that one we would probably have to.
Oh, yeah, we definitely would.
Yeah, like for that one specifically. Like, that's a big one if it happens. But it would show that Rutgers is very serious, not just as a university, but also about athletics too, which is kind of what you want with the president. You want someone that understands athletics, understands how it works. So, yeah, we'll kind of just wait and see. But it sounds like it should be done by the end of the month. Mind you, we were also told it was going to be done at the end of April. There's some logistics there that are kind of holding him back from technically being on the job at Rutgers, because it wouldn't apply to July 1st, but there's some contractual agreements that go till July. So I gave you every hint in the book. If you don't know by now, I don't know what to tell you.
All right. Well, we'll see how that plays out. I'm glad that there's going to be some resolution there, because it's been a long, winding road to get us to hiring a new president. But
it's long is one way to put it.
A lot of good nuggets in this pod. Thanks once again to everybody who has listened, rated, and reviewed the show, told a friend, subscribe to us on YouTube. It really does help the show grow. Mm-hmm. And probably do another giveaway at some point this summer in the lead up to football season.
Giveaway. That's a good question.
Yeah.
Also, if you're on the boards right now and having issues with replies, this has been an ongoing issue throughout the network. So just FYI, it will be fixed soon. If you're already listening to us and it is fixed, congrats. If it's not, I'm sorry. I don't have control over it. I can only do so much.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks once again for listening. For me and Richie, this has been another edition of the Night Report podcast. Signing off.